This time on Bone Revivals, we're pulling the transmission out of the green truck. It's time to rebuild it. And we also do it in the rain. Hey, I'm Robert. Welcome to Bone Revivals. Okay, so we're gonna let it warm up for a little bit, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna check our actual transmission fluid level. Now, in order to do that properly, truck has to be on level ground, which it's level enough. Let it warm up for a little bit. You want to make sure it's up on full temp. And what's the importance of for transmission level on the stick compared to cold versus hot?
Well, when it's cold, basically fluid as it gets hot, it's going to expand. If you check it running when it's cold, it may appear that it's low. You don't want to overfill it because that will cause all kinds of problems, foaming and everything else, and pushing fluid out the breather. So that's the biggest thing. Make sure it's up to operating temperature, that you're within
getting an accurate
area.
Here, I'm going to wipe it off and double check it, but it's right in your crosshatch area. Your mark up here is the full mark. Anything lower than this back mark back here where it's not in the crosshatch area is low. The other thing I'm going to tell you right now that I automatically noticed with it, look at the color of the transmission fluid. If it's a nice bright red, usually it means your fluid's fresh, nothing's getting burnt up clutch-wise and whatever else. But if you see here, there's a bunch of black stuff, and the color of the transmission fluid is more of like a darkish reddish brown.
Usually when you see the dark particles in there, most of your seals that are inside these transmissions are like a black rubber type of seal, and usually once they degrade, they will break down to little tiny pieces. They get hard over time, and that's probably mostly the dark stuff we're seeing.
This truck does have an issue. The issue that we're trying to fix today is that it no longer has reverse. So what we're going to be doing next is we're going to be doing a pressure test off the trans and testing what our actual pressures are. So speaking of line pressures, you might be wondering, well, how do I know what the line pressures should be if I go to do this test? Well, if you're an old school guy, you can look it up in a shop manual like this. But, not everybody has access to these. Our friends over at EManual have you covered. EManual offers a variety of shop manuals just like this one, but they're all digital copy. You go on, simple as finding the manual that you need, and you can buy it for a digital download purchase. These shop manuals are so handy for wrenching on an old vehicle like this, just because it gives you the valuable information on, how to actually work on it in case you don't know. It's super good for referencing stuff, and like I said, we're using it to reference what our line pressures are supposed to be in our transmission. So they're just awesome to have, and I totally recommend getting one. The best part is our friends over at EManual are offering you guys a discount. If you use the code BoneyardRevival22, you can get yourself 22% off site-wide. That's kind of awesome. Just saying. A huge thank you to EManual for getting in touch with me and wanting to partner with me. What they're doing is fantastic, and we need more helpful companies like them to provide us with the correct information, the correct shop manuals you need to wrench on your projects. I even did you guys a solid, and I left a link to EManual's site down in the description of this video, and I even left the link for this book so you can go get it, and you can look up what your line pressures are supposed to be in a Turbo 350.
On the right side of a Turbo 350 transmission, there's multiple test ports. There's like pipe plugs that are in there. You need to make sure that you are putting your pressure gauge into the right port, or the pressures you're seeing or lack of may throw your diagnostics off. But on the Turbo 350, I don't know if you can see it, there's a round servo cover, and it's back in behind that. It's not that one, it's back in behind that. That's your line pressure tap, and that's what we need to see for our clutch pack apply pressures for all forward clutches and also reverse.
So you are hooking up the line for a pressure test
Yep.
gauge? All right.
Now, what you might want to do before that, these especially this one, it's all gunked up from years of service. Try to clean that off best you can, so that way you don't, possibly put foreign debris into your new gauge or transmission.
All right, so now we have our gauge hooked up. What we're gonna do is we're gonna hop in the truck, we're gonna fire it up, and we're gonna be rolling it through the gears, and we're gonna be watching our pressure gauge to see what our pressures are per gear, to see if we find any issues there.
Okay, pretty much going to give you a quick rundown, just rough numbers. Minimum on transmission oil line pressure that you're going to see: park, neutral, direct drive, which would be third, intermediate, which would be second, or low range. Minimum pressure is 60 psi. Maximum you should see up to possibly 150. So if you're in that range, you should be good. Right now we're in park, and we're between 110, 115 psi. That's perfect within our range. Okay, and we'll roll it right down through. The next one for park is reverse. We'll drop them in reverse. Reverse, generally you want to see 90, and possibly your highest maximum is going to be 260 psi. So we'll drop her down reverse and see where we're at. Oh, that's not good. We're sitting about 34 psi. Our minimum has got to be, like I said, 95 or better. Like, we got something in that circuit that's bleeding off pressure, and that's why we have no reverse on this. Okay, we'll roll her into neutral, see where we're at there. Okay, yep, back up. Tickling 120, or 110, 115. That's well within our range, 60 to 150. We're good there. Drive. We're at idle, so remember that's going to change your pressure, but we're 75 to 80 psi. That's kind of on the low side, but it's still acceptable. And we actually have drive or forward gear. Okay, we'll roll back into second, see where we're at. Okay, we're 85 tickling 90. That's above our minimum, which is 60. So we're okay there. Okay, we'll drop her back into low, see where we're at. Low. Heck, we're only tickling about 50 psi. So we got something to look at in low too, which that could be related to our low pressure that we have in reverse too. But yeah, so we definitely got to yank this thing out. We had the evidence of seal come apart inside it, evidencing with the evidence of the black material that was on the trans dipstick earlier. So at that rate, being that we have that, it justifies pulling the transmission out. This thing's got to come apart. Everything's got to get cleaned out. And yep, there it is, diagnosing it.
What we'll also do as well is we'll show you the difference between what the modulator actually does. So currently we have our vacuum line hooked up to the modulator. Now what we'll do is we'll disconnect it and show you basically how the modulator works. Plus on top of that, it'll also let us know if the modulator is actually functioning or not.
Yep.
So we'll run through all the gears with the modulator disconnected.
Now we're in park. Vacuum modulator is disconnected. We're between, we'll call that 140 to 150. So see how it changed it slightly, but it did. Let's roll back down into reverse, see what our pressures are. Boom. We got 30, 40 psi. I mean, that's definitely why our reverse is out of it. Roll her down in neutral. Neutral. We're back up 130, 140. Real good. Drive. 60 and increasing up to 90. That's well acceptable at idle. Let's roll her down in a second. We're creeping up around 110, 100, 110. Not bad. Not bad for a transmission that's sat a long time. Roll it right down in the low, and we'll see what we got there. Now on low, it didn't really increase too much. We're right around 60. A little lower than I want to see it. Once we get in there, we can do some things to this to adjust line pressure. But I mean, we just prove, you know, why reverse is not working. Because there's a couple different reasons why you need much more pressure in reverse than you would in a forward drive circuit, intermediate, low range, or low gear. Because if there's basically a big piston in there, the servo piston. If you saw where I was pointing out for that pressure tap, that round circle behind that, there's a piston, and it takes the fluid pressure when we're in reverse, pushes that piston, collapses a band around a clutch pack, and allows planetary gears to turn the other way, and therefore gives you your reverse. And not only that, but you also have clutch applied pressure, different clutch pack. I would have to look back through, I don't remember exactly which ones they are at this moment in time, but essentially you need a lot more fluid to make reverse happen, and that's why you got to have the increased pressure. With increased pressure, that means your volume is going to be higher. If your pressure drops low, it's basically not delivering the volume of oil or pressure that it needs to do all those things.
So we're pulling the bolts out for the U-joint caps that basically connect the front drive shaft to the yoke on the front axle. We're gonna have to do the same on the back. We have problems. Yeah, I don't know what happened here, but I don't know if something with the yoke for the pinion broke or what, but they decided to weld it, and when they brought the weld over, they welded the bolt, so the bolt has to turn to come out. And at first I thought it was dirt, so that's why I put the wrench on it. I tried scraping it away once I kind of got on it and felt that it was tight. And no, that's metal. Interesting. Alright, hopefully we have enough of that grinded off. Oh, look at that. Mint. Now my guess is that this got stripped because it was not in there very tight, and yeah, it moves a lot. So what I'm assuming happened here was that upon reassembly ages ago, it was stripped out, so their solution was let's throw a little bit of weld in there and she'll be mint.
Yeah.
Oh, it's broken off completely.
Oh. Oh, so we'll just weld that. Oh, that's perfect.
The actual band that goes over the U-joint was also zapped to it. So how do I go about trying to do that? Do you want me to try to salvage the strap, or am I just sending her?
Probably got some spares around.
Because unfortunately, to cut the bolt, I had to dig into it a little bit, but it's usable. That's up to you, because in order to do it, I would have to grind the weld off the side and hope that I can get enough of it off.
Give it a shot if it's that much of a pain, because of if that pinion is salvageable by drilling and tapping that bolt, then that's probably what I'll do with it.
Okay. All right. I'll see what I can come up with then. I cut into it a little bit on the top, which I'm not happy about, but I mean, otherwise, she's mint. See it? That's basically the broken part of the bolt stuck in there, as there's nothing in here. So they broke that once upon a time, and their solution was to weld it back together. I mean, hey, it works in a pinch, but, kind of really makes some difficulties, when it's time for us to remove it, yeah?
Yes.
Yep.
It's the best of times for them, the worst of times for us.
Oh. Well, there you go. Rear drive shaft is out.
Cannot move a single inch.
Well, the best part is that it's usually always like what should be like a 2-second job. Always ends up being like 3 hours. So I was joking with Wally. I'm like, hey, we can probably have this out in like an hour and a half. And then the first thing I see is a broken welded nut. Alright, so we're just about ready to drop this thing out. Bell housing bolts are actually out. I think, obviously, kickdown cable's disconnected. Our
Actuator disconnected. The only thing left are our cooler lines and then our cross member here. And pretty much disconnect that, drop these bolts out of this, get our trans jack in under here, and pretty much ready to drop it down and liberate everything out of here.
Okay, we'll zip the rest of them out.
What, so you're just leaving the back few loose?
Yeah, I'm gonna bring it down on that front corner.
This is probably not gonna go good.
Oh! She's a bleeder.
That trans fluid looks terrible.
Yeah, pretty much.
Ah, good. Well, most of it made it in the bucket, except like all of it that didn't. Why do you think the transmission don't work?
I think there's important parts that are part of that there that shouldn't be there.
Like,
That was also in there too, which looks like it is part of a seal or something.
And then-
Yeah, she's pretty used up. Yeah, that's well, I guess it's a good thing that we're in there.
Yep,
Giving
that's
her all
why
good
it's coming
stuff.
right out. You know,
Yep.
that's we fast forwarded past like trying to troubleshoot the reverse circuit because of the way the transmission fluid looked in it, and by dropping that, we made the right choice. Trans is pretty much ready to come out of the truck. We just before we dropped it out, it was easier to drop the pan, dump the fluid.
So that way when we were trying to pull it out, flopping it around or whatever, transmission fluid didn't go everywhere, even though it kind of went everywhere anyway.
But yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, she needs minor rebuild. We chose the worst day to do this. It is raining like a son of a gun, and we're getting drenched, but we will have it out shortly. I can assure you that.
And
A little bit.
yep, yeah, we got plenty of room on my side.
I just a flying wheel.
There we go.
Yellow lifts, suspension lifts,
And body lift helps the transmission removal a lot.
Oh my goodness.
Couldn't do that on any of the other ones. Nope.
You can drain that out too.
Yep.
You want the pan or you want just gonna do a bucket?
Oh, yummy.
Oh yeah,
That's fantastic. That is goodness right there.
so what's your game plan then for the torque converter?
Ooh. See that? The ceiling area on that torque? Look at that. How tore up that is.
Yeah.
That's,
That's not very good.
No, that's not goodly like. I think we got some spare parts around here though. Might have to employ them. I'm wondering if this boost valve,
Yeah.
if that hung up and that's what caused all of our problems. See, because of that's with that boost valve, that's how it doubles the output out of that pump. It's obvious that pump seals are no good by the leakage.
Yep. Which that explains all of the trans fluid all over there.
Which originally I thought it was something up with the pump. That may have been our problem. We'll find out once we tear it down though. But yeah, if the gasket blew out here, there's holes that go back through the case that are main supply feed. It's very possible that with it blowing that out, that's what caused the rest of our carnage.
But either way, that's where this video is going to cut, and we're going to do a full video of the teardown and rebuild of the transmission to make it its own separate entity. And so go check that out to actually see what we end up discovering, and then we'll probably do a rehash of what was in that video, and then rebuild it, stuff her back in, and go
Beat the ass off of it.
That's what I like to hear. Yeah. So this is where we go rebuild it, and you go click on the link that's up here, and yeah, we'll be back.